I came up with a model which might explain this pattern of inheritance. I felt that for each unit of heredity, or for each gene as these units would later be called, there were two forms, or alleles as would later be the term used. And although each individual possessed two alleles for these genes, that when they made their sex cells, so the pollen and the eggs, each would possess only one. I called this my law of segregation, where the reproductive cells would possess one but not both of these alleles for these units of inheritance or genes. If a flower which possesses two dominant alleles for purple color, or is homozygous dominant, if this flower is crossed with a white flower, which is homozygous recessive, having two copies of the recessive allele, then all of the offspring would be heterozygous with the dominant phenotype, having one dominant allele which hides the recessive allele. If reproductive cells fuse at random when the F1 generation is crossed to itself, then one would end up with 1/4 of the offspring being homozygous dominant, half being heterozygous, and 1/4 which is homozygous recessive. This would explain the 3:1 flower color ratio of purple to white flowers. This same principle seemed to be evident in all of my crosses. So with pod color, if a homozygous dominant flower is mated to a homozygous recessive flower, all of the offspring would then be heterozygous and possess the dominant trait that would be their phenotype or outward appearance, different from the genotype which expresses the alleles they possess. When this F1 generation is crossed to itself, then the genotype ratio in the F2 generation would be 1/4 homozygous dominant, half heterozygous, and 1/4 homozygous recessive. This 1:2:1 genotype ratio would then cause the 3:1 phenotype ratio of dominant to recessive phenotypes.